Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Krysten Hansyn and this is Goddess Imagine, a transformational yoga and modern metaphysical studio. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here today with a brand new tarot reading that's called the Healing Heart Compass. This 9-card reading offers us valuable insight and guidance into your current relationship dynamics, the potential challenges that you face, and how to find a clear pathway to peace. In keeping with my theme and upcoming program, 2026, the year of the dynamic do-over, this reading was created for individuals who have been seriously struggling in their relationship for a while and are at a place in this new year which they want to know if this is something that can be fixed or immediately deep-sixed. We have to remember that struggling and suffering is not on our agenda in 2026. That in 2026, we're learning to put ourselves and our dreams and goals first, right? And that includes cultivating a mutually loving and supportive relationship, or walking away and maybe doing some reflecting and some additional work on ourselves in order to attract that ideal relationship scenario. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's time to explore the inner realm of your current relationship status and how you can stay on the path to becoming the woman that you were created to be and manifesting the type of lifestyle that you've always imagined. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment just to come to center and maybe set an intention for this reading, okay, if you choose to. And the way we do that is, I just like to sit up in my seat. You're welcome to join me if you're able. If not, you can just tune into the sound of my voice. If you're driving or doing something else, that's okay. Otherwise, we just take a moment to sit in our seat, maybe close our eyes down, as we begin to ground center and focus our mind, body, and spirit. We can invite our higher power and spiritual team to join us. We can connect to our inner goddess, embrace our divine feminine energy. We can also use this time to set a personal intention if there's something specific that you would like to learn in this reading. And when we're finished, we take a full breath in and a full breath out. Beautiful. We open up our eyes and we begin. I like to just shuffle the cards briefly, open up the energy on the deck. Today I'm using the Paulina Cassidy deck, the Joy de Bear, I think is how you say it. I can't say it. I know that it's in French, but it is by Paulina Cassidy, and it's an amazing deck. It's very creative and very insightful, and it kind of activates my intuition in a different way. It allows me to see things on a very creative level, I guess you can say. All right, the cards are feeling pretty good. One more shuffle for good luck, and we're set. And for card number 1, we have the Star card. Beautiful card to start this reading with. So when we look at card number 1, the relationship dynamic, this card tells me that there's a lot of potential in this reading. We have the Star, it's the major arcana, and the Star card can represent tapping into our own inner magic, connecting to our higher power, using the energetic sources that we have around us in order to help us in this journey of our relationship. It also tells me that this relationship has been established for a while, that this is a long-term marriage or a long-term union, and that maybe there's been some up and downs recently that has caused you to question the value of this relationship. I don't know why I'm getting the word value, but is it really worth your time? Is it worth your energy? Is it something that you want to dedicate more things to, okay? It has the potential to grow. It has the potential to sparkle and shine, But the star card can also represent hidden problems, maybe things that aren't always visible. And we'll explore that in just a little bit. But from the beginning, it tells me that it has potential under the right circumstances. Card number 2 is your energy. How do you currently engage and interact within the relationship? This card represents you and highlights aspects of your energy, your attitude, and your demeanor. Maybe your level of happiness or your levels of disappointment and things like that. For card number 2, we have the King of Coins. Now, the King of Coins, when we're going to talk about coins, is the same as the Pentacles, okay? When we have a king, it doesn't just represent finances. It represents prosperity, abundance, the home front, feeling solid, feeling like you're on level ground, okay? And it tells me here that you're someone that likes to have things orderly. You like to have bills paid on time. Who doesn't? But it's something that you're very, very passionate about. You like to have the home clean. You like to have things in order. You don't like a lot of outside nonsense. Maybe you have a very serious and very linear energy. You're very focused. And there's things within the star type of relationship that leaves you with a level of unexpectedness that maybe you personally aren't comfortable with, okay? And when you're the king, you're also very established in whatever it is that you're doing. Even if you're in the feminine energy, you're maybe very well educated. You put a lot of time into yourself, into your personal growth. It also can tell me that sometimes when we get a King of Pentacles or a King of Coins, it's also someone that it's a little bit difficult to be flexible, right? That maybe your partner has approached you with certain things and you're so linear because you're focused. And I'm an Aquarian. All right. And I can be too. I can be very linear, that we're so concerned with having things a certain way in order that we don't allow for flexibility. We don't allow for a little bit of bending and swaying. All right. And while it's admirable to have these strong characteristics, it can also be a little difficult for our partners to relate to that type of energy, because I can be, my husband, extremely anal retentive at times when it comes to things, right? I like the house clean. I like everything to be done in a certain order on a specific day. And I have to remember my partner's energy doesn't always match that. And it can, cause us a little bit of, argument here and there. Not anything big, but we have to remember that we're not the only ones in this situation. All right, let's look at card number 2. This is your partner's energy. How does your partner currently engage and interact within the relationship? This card represents your partner and highlights aspects of their energy, their attitude, and their demeanor, right? It also represents their level of happiness as well as disappointment and etc. For card number 3, we have the Chariot. Ooh, very nice card. So, interesting. We have 2 very strong cards here. The Chariot, when I see the Chariot is someone who can command and control, right? Maybe we have 2 strong-headed individuals here. When I see the Chariot, and when I teach this in my class, I think of what it was like for chariots to be driven back in the day, right? You had this broken down barnacle barge thing made of cement, and it had 2 wheels, and it was, the guy was steering it with the horses, and it took a tremendous amount of power in order to keep that thing upright and rolling forward, okay? They weren't easy to navigate. This can represent that maybe your partner's energy isn't necessarily easy to navigate either, that maybe they're very established. They have a particular way of doing things, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's on the same level as you. It just means they have their own opinions and are equally as strong-minded as well. And when you have 2 strong relationships, 2 strong individuals in a star relationship, okay, maybe we don't give each other ease, all right? Maybe we're so strong in our directions that we're not giving each other grace. We're not able to intermingle those energies at times. And we can feel as if we're up against a brick wall. We're feeling like sometimes you may feel like you're fighting yourself. okay? Or that you're alone in your endeavor. When we see the King of Coins, this is someone that can be very established in one way. The Chariot doesn't necessarily mean that they're established on the same highest of level. It means that they have particular habits, beliefs, and behaviors that they're very steady in. This can mean that maybe they don't always pick up after themselves, or they don't pay the bills on time, or you have to feel like you're constantly on them to do something, right? It can mean that as well. And that also can cause a stripe. Our next card is card number 4. This is the highest aspiration of the reading. What's your greatest intention for your future together? This card offers insight and clarity into the big picture of your relationship. If both of you could get on the same page, what are your hopes and dreams for the future? And our card is the Two of Coins, balance. All right, the Two of Coins is all about finding that flow within yourselves and within each other. And it's at a very low level of the relationship. We're not even talking about the finances and the homestead and things like that. It's about perhaps going back to the basics and learning how to get on the same page again. Something connected you two with each other. Something brought you together, okay? Maybe, a certain type of energy, etc. But how do you keep that flow? How can you find flexibility with each other, listen to each other, and then find that balance within? And here's something else that's noticeable. When we see the Two of Coins, we see the chaos and the confusion in the background as well. And this can represent that the imbalance between the two of you has caused a lot of strife in the people around you. Maybe the kids, maybe your family, maybe, outside sources feel that imbalance as well, and they can be, affected by it. And it really just takes maybe stepping back a little bit and observing yourselves from a distance. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Card number 5 is the challenge. All right, let's talk about the biggest problem or conflict that you're facing in this relationship. This card identifies the challenge, the incident, the argument, the disagreement, and or the history of this relationship, okay? And the areas of discourse within the relationship. For card number 5, the Four of Swords. Okay, now, the swords to me represent communication, intuition, intelligence, level of intellect, our communication, and how we communicate with each other. When we see the Four of Swords, this means that there's arguments, there's strife, there's discontent. We're not on the same page. And maybe these arguments have reached a point to where they're an everyday argument. It's not that you're having just one particular blow up or dust up, that every single day there are arguments over something. And maybe there's even a level of avoidance within you two, that if you have a conversation with each other, it just immediately blows up into this argument. And you're tending to avoid each other a little bit. And maybe that's why you're beginning to think about what you're actually putting into this relationship. Is there possibility, right? There's some things going on that I'm just not sure if I'm willing to put any more energy into this constant argument, okay? And this is something that's occurring on the daily. It's regular. And if it's not on the daily, it's 3-4 times a week, but it's occurring regular. And it's the small things that are aggravating. It's the minor annoyances that are causing the problem. Card number 6 is, what are the contributing factors to this, okay? Who or what is contributing to these constant little arguments? This card reveals the individual or the incident that's at the heart of this discourse and how it's negatively impacting your relationship. And for card number 6, we have the Six of Coins. Very relevant in this reading. The Six of Coins represents having a give or take. When we talk about who or what are the contributing factors to this discourse, what's happening with these arguments, why are we having these all the time? It's not just about finding balance, it's also about finding grace and giving each other a break once in a while, okay? Instead of always having to point out what this one did or pointing out what that one did, right? We can look here and give each other a break sometimes. time. Give a little bit of grace, all right? And being able to understand and seeing on that upper level that maybe we're not the same energy, that we're both headstrong individuals, we're very passionate, maybe in opposite directions and not at the same level that we would like to be, but it's about just finding balance. The foundation for the relationship tells me that there's promise. It's just about, are you willing to give each other that little bit of give and take and not be so quick to point out everything that's wrong? When we come into card number 7, we talk about the solution. What's the best way to address and overcome these challenges that you face? This card shows us how we can possibly solve this issue. How can we begin to give each other these little bits of give and take and just not be so adamant and up each other's asses all the time, okay? How can we move forward into a more respectful and loving relationship? The card that we have is the Magician, okay? Excellent card. The Magician represents that each of you have within you everything that you need to make this relationship successful, okay? The Magician means that we have, this is a major arcana card, and this represents our different individual gifts and graces, the things that we do uniquely that make us who we are. Like me, I'm naturally intuitive. I'm a natural coach and a mentor. There's certain things that are about me that are who I am. My husband is an engineer, and like he's always trying to fix things and repair things. So when I come to him with a problem, I just may be sharing information with him, but he's automatically going to go into trying to solve it for me, and it aggravates the crap out of me. He's learning that sometimes I just need to vent. I have to understand he's a fixer. All right, if he happens to pop off, just listen, have respect, and then readdress and say, okay, I just would like to share this with you. I'm not looking for a fix. And really, that's how basic getting the relationship back on track is. When we have two people that are very strong, okay, very strong, we have to be able to give each other grace, have balance in the relationship, not be so quick to point out the obvious, not be so quick to flare up. And there's times, my husband and I have been together for 18 years. We've been married for 15. And there's times we've had really great years. We've had a year or two where it's just like, we just get on each other's nerves quickly. But since I've been doing a lot of work on myself over the last 10 years, and he's been doing a lot of work on himself, every single year we get better and better. Every single year we're learning to understand these things about each other, and we're learning to give each other grace. And even it involves our reaction can be so quick to blow up that we come back to each other and say, I'm really sorry I blew up like that. I'm really sorry I did that. Can we move forward? And I say, thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate it. It's hard to be humble. It is so difficult because I do it as well. I have to go back and say, God bless it. I didn't mean to blow up at you like that. I'm sorry. I was just wanting to share what happened. We apologize, give each other a hug, and we move on. It saves the day. Instead of eating at each other and bickering and this and that, it stops the crazy, it stops the headache, and it gets us both going down the road. And it takes away those feelings of anger and disappointment and the other feelings that we can have when we're at that constant discord. So the Magician is asking us to pull out those things within us that we do naturally and begin to view this relationship with a little bit different mindset and be able to work with each other on that upper level. Now, next is card number 8. This is our pathway to peace. How can you keep the magic and momentum alive to move forward into the relationship of your dreams, right? How can we rebuild this and fall back in love and keep this relationship going? Or is it time to cut the cord and officially move forward? These are very important questions to ask ourselves, especially if we've been struggling in this relationship for a long time. This card gives us an outside view, as if we back away and then view ourselves from the outside. Like how, if people were sitting in our house and viewing us, this is how they would see us. And it gives us an opportunity to see, is this something we want to fix, or is it time for us to move on and try a solo endeavor? Our final card, card number 8, is the 5 of Swords. All right, so this card tells me that when we see the 5 of Swords, there's a lot of discord that begins in the communication realm. And if it's something that you want to work at and overcome, is going to take the level of the magician, of being mindful, focus. When we look at a magician and how they are when they do the work, the intense amount of focus, the practice, the things that they've had to learn about themselves and sharpen those skills, to hone their craft, to genuinely work with each other and making sure that both of you are on the same page, you might have a possibility. But this card would tell me with the Five of Swords, there's so much animosity that it may be very difficult to fix this relationship. Okay, it may be at a point to where we're saying to each other, you know what, the arguments aren't stopping, and we've been together for a while, and while this relationship had all the opportunity, okay, to grow into this loving thing, it just hasn't, and it's been very difficult. And if we want to fix it, I think that we need to sit down and get some outside assistance, maybe a counselor, maybe a therapist, or maybe it's time to sever the cord and move on. And sometimes that can begin with having a conversation with your partner about the relationship and seeing where they're at, okay? The Five of Swords, it also can represent to me that there's been betrayal, that there's been miscommunication, maybe some lies, maybe some deceit, that one or both of you are having a difficulty getting over. And there's that fear of those lies and deceit coming back into the picture. It's very difficult to have a loving relationship if we're hanging on to things of the past. If we want to move forward and find happiness, we have to be willing to let those things go. If our partner is genuine and they're trying hard to overcome those things of the past, and if we want to save the relationship, then we stop bringing it up and reminding them of it every 5 minutes, okay? We stop bringing the things up. Likewise, if there's someone who's doing that to you, all right, they need to begin breaking those habits as well. We have to have somewhere where there's a new beginning, where there's balance within us, but also we have a very rational ability to give and take with each other, to not point out the flaws, to focus on the positive as opposed to the negative. But I would have to say, this relationship, if you're here with me today, this is a difficult one. And that inner stripe is very strong. And it may be very difficult to repair that. You may find yourself in 2026 saying, I think this has ran its course. I feel as if I'm ready to move on from this, all right? And I always recommend to my clients and to my people, these aren't rash decisions, to have conversations with your partner, to talk these things out. But this reading tells me this is potentially where you're at. Our final card, my last card, for this session is what I call the Goddess card. This is our message from our inner goddess. This is our true self here. And today I'm pulling from the Whispers of Love deck. This is a beautiful artistic deck. This is by Angela Hartfield, one of my favorite decks that I like to use. And I like to do a goddess draw at the end just to give you a little insightful, inspiring message for you on this journey. These cards are a little bit too big for me to shuffle, so I'll just give them a light fluff. Because we have to remember that even though we're in a union, we're two still separate individual people. And as two separate individual people, we both are worthy of love, light, respect, prosperity, and abundance, all of those things. We can't hold those things hostage from the other. We have to be willing to give these to each other freely. If we're able to work through the damage of the past, you can do that. I've seen the worst of relationships overcome unbelievable odds and move forward into a dynamic powerhouse duo. I've also seen very successful relationships fall apart because both people simply chose not to work at it, or one of them was just like, no. Okay, it can happen. So let's see what our inner goddess has to say. And the card that we have is receive with love and appreciation. Receiving something and lovingly from others is a way of showing love. What were we just talking about? Give and take. Finding balance. All right, this may be a message for you to sit with yourself today And maybe take an internal inventory of yourself in this relationship. Maybe write down some things about your partner that you love, that you don't love, and then inviting them to do the same. And doing it with a loving heart, okay? Not doing it from this, we're going to do this and that, okay? Because we are the king of coins, we're linear. Saying, you know what? I recognize we've been having a lot of challenges these last few years. How do you feel about this relationship? Where do you think that it's at? Let's write down some things about each other. Let's see if we can have a meeting in the middle, and doing it with a kind heart. And sometimes things that are received with love and appreciation is what opens up that door to possibility. When we are willing to be vulnerable, to be willing to let our guard down, especially if this is someone that we genuinely love. If it's someone we've been with for a while, we have kids, we have a history, we have all of these things. We don't necessarily just want to throw it away. And when we're older, especially like I'm pushing 60, I've already had one divorce. I don't really want to go through that energy again. Likewise, I'm not a human doormat. Right? Balance. And if you're in a relationship to where you're being severely mistreated, then, we have the answer. But if it's something that you both are having strife, maybe sitting down and having that conversation with kindness and talking about love and talking about things with a genuineness, with an authenticity, and looking to see where you stand. Maybe it's something that can potentially be healed. Otherwise, I laid out the cards, and this is where we're at. All right, so I know that was a lot of information. Let's just sit back and let that all settle within us for a moment. Let's just take that all in. In fact, we can bring our hands to our heart chakra here. And our heart chakra is what governs relationships, but it also governs the weight of those relationships. Along with the happiness and joy, it also governs the heartbreak, the sorrow, the sadness, and the pain that we've been feeling. And we can do a little exercise here together. And you can say to yourself that you release all of the negativity, the trauma and drama and damage and dysfunction from your heart chakra. And we forgive those that have hurt us. We forgive ourselves. And we can imagine that negativity going up into the universe to be recycled for our highest good. And maybe we can open up a new pathway in our heart to finding love and light in a new way. Maybe finding a new avenue in this relationship, or perhaps closing the door and opening up ourselves to something new in the future. And let's give ourselves some light, loving kindness. We take a full breath in and a full breath out, and bring ourselves back to the here and now. Thank you very much for joining me today. I truly hope that you found this reading beneficial. When we think about the new year and the plans and the dreams and goals that we have, there are very important things that we want to address, and one of the most important ones is our relationship, because this is the foundation of our life. This is the person we're seeing every day. This is the person we're sharing money with, our home with, perhaps our children, grandchildren, or whatever it is that it may be for you. And we want to make sure that this is on solid ground, that we're happy, we're joyful, right? Not everything's going to be perfect all the time. Relationships come and go, but we have to have a solid foundation in order for us to build up from. And I hope that this reading gave you some valuable insight and guidance for you to explore the inner workings of your relationship, to sit down and talk with your partner and see where you both are headed in 2026 and beyond. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you have a blessed day. Brightest blessings, everyone, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.